Hey everyone, good evening, folks. I'm Todd Stewart, ASC's Vice President of Public Art. I'm joined tonight by Randella Davis, who is our Program Director of Public Art. And tonight we are going to share some information regarding ASC's Regional Artist Directory. We'll go over a little bit of information about ASC's Public Art Program, pull some information directly from the call to artists for the Regional Artist Directory, and go over the details, and then end by sharing some helpful tips on how you can apply for this directory. Whoops. So ASC has been involved in public art project management since 1992. That's the year that the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County adopted a joint resolution to actually create the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Public Art Program. In 2002 and 2003, both Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte each adopted separate 1% for art ordinances. And what those ordinances do is they appropriate up to 1% of the cost of eligible capital improvement project funds to the creation of public art, either directly tied to the capital improvement program project that's the funding source, or within the same vicinity, the same geographic area. ASC is named as the administrators of those ordinances in each of them, and our scope of work involves planning these projects, facilitating artist selection, contracting with each artist, helping them to host and facilitate community engagement meetings and workshops, and largely the facilitation of design, fabrication, and installation. And we do all of this with the Public Art Commission oversight. That's a 9-member volunteer advisory board of appointees from the City of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, and ASC. ASC believes that public art is a catalyst for connectivity, bonding people to a place and one another, generating a greater sense of pride and responsibility for the places that enhance the quality of life and celebrate community's unique attributes. So this is a publicly funded program. It's, the funds are through the capital improvement program, which are collected through bond cycles and taxpayer money. So we truly feel like this is the collection of the citizenry of Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte. And we take great pride in providing this service and creating all these wonderful artworks. And we further involve the community. Every project is required that our artists in some way dialogue with community partners. This can be neighborhood associations, larger community groups, the community at large, as a means of keeping the collective community's voice in mind as they're going through their concept development, and also creating touch points where they're coming back to the community, requesting certain information to help develop their project further, and also sharing out the current phase of design that they are in, how things are progressing, what things are looking like, and how the community can be further involved. Sometimes this even involves the communities or specific groups actually being more hands-on with the creation of the art, either through design charrettes or even creating elements of the artwork that'll show up in the finished piece. And to date, we've accomplished 213 works through these ordinances. They range in a variety of scales, an enormous amount of different materials, and artists nationally and locally. So you can check out the full collection on this great map that Mecklenburg County Geospatial Information Services collaborated with ASC on creating. This is through their park exhibits map, but it's also housed on our website. And it's got a great map or a great legend that you can kind of pull down and search based on location, artist name, title of artwork. And each of these dots we'll click on to give you additional information and sometimes some photos if we have them. So now a little bit, so that's us, that's the public art program. That's what we all hope that you can participate in through being a part of the Regional Artist Directory or applying to one of our calls to artists, whether it's an RFQ or an RFP. But now we're going to talk a little bit more about the Regional Artist Directory and what exactly this is. So ASC's Regional Artist Directory, we've used this tool since 2020. That's when we developed it as a means of serving two goals. One is to expedite our process for commissioning artists along with the Public Art Commission. Um, and then the second role is to allow more of a fighting chance for local artists to participate in the public art program since it is an incredibly competitive process. We felt that by providing opportunities specifically to North Carolina and South Carolina artists who are only eligible for the Regional Artist Directory, that they would have more of an upper hand in terms of receiving their first commission. Because at the end of the day, the question that Rendella and I get asked the most by aspiring artists or artists who are curious about public art is how do I get my start in this? How do I begin the process of launching my career as a public artist? And it can be challenging, especially if you do not have a completed project on your resume yet, because it really does work in a matter of um, selection committees, commissioning agents, kind of looking at the work that you've accomplished previously, your precedent projects, to help determine if you're the artist that they want for their commission. So how do you do so without getting your first commission? And it's ASC's hope that the Regional Artist Directory will be that entry point for many artists. So by applying and being accepted into this directory, you'll be eligible for public art program projects of $100,000 and less. Being on the directory doesn't guarantee you a commission, but it does narrow the pool in which you're competing against. And ASC works through the directory to actually make recommendations based on your unique skill sets um, and how best we think you would either fit the scope of work for a particular commission or if you have the potential with the skills exhibited through your portfolio and your letter of interest to take on a commission for a specific project. So having experience as a public artist is not a prerequisite. You do not have to have a completed project to participate in the Regional Artist Directory. We just ask that you show your greatest work in terms of your portfolio and then to describe to us in the letter of interest kind of why you're wanting to make this leap into public art or what public art experience you do have. So again, this directory is for budgets of $100,000 and less. That's the projects you'll be eligible with. You must reside in North Carolina or South Carolina. We ask that you complete or submit a completed application. Please pay careful attention to all the requirements and make sure that you're submitting it in its entirety. Your work samples will be incredibly important. They should demonstrate an ability to create dynamic site-specific artwork or the ability to tie design to a place or community are preferred. We ask for an artist's resume that demonstrates evidence or professional experience with art and design, and an artist statement or interest, letter of interest that demonstrates experiences collaborating with architects, landscape architects, or community members to achieve artistic goals. In terms of credentials, you'll be uploading a resume, a curriculum vitae, or a biography that's an either or, demonstrating professional history and skills or experience as a professional artist. We ask that you keep that to a 2-page maximum. If you're applying or you're thinking of applying as a collective or an organization as a corporation, ASC would advise you to reconsider that. We often see artists do that for our general request for qualifications. But in this instance, if you are a member, if you collaborate with other artists, if you're a member of a collective and you apply to the Regional Artist Directory separately as individual artists, it'll just give you that much more of a chance of being recommended for a commission in which you can pull in your associates, collaborators, or collective members to participate with you on the commission you're selected for. So it's kind of a strength in numbers thing. Images of past work. We would like to see up to 10 images of recent work or 3 digital video or movie files. It can't be 11. If you showcase digital video files, you're sacrificing some of your 10 images, but please keep those within 2 minutes each. And the work should be completed within the past 10 years. A statement of interest or video of interest, we give you the option of either writing your statement of interest or you can also video yourself. And this is a brief introductory narrative that provides insight into your interest about working as a public artist. Your statement should also highlight any experience you have collaborating with designers and community members as an artist. It doesn't necessarily have to directly tie to your artistic work, but if you are someone who is a community organizer, activist, if you're heavily involved in your community, showcase how you have those skill sets and how you could see yourself bringing that into your artistic practice as a public artist. We also ask for an annotated slide list that should include titles, date, media, and dimensions of work, and 3 professional references, including name, organization, phone number, and email. In terms of the selection process, the solicitation process is being undertaken to enable the Public Art Commission to identify the most highly qualified artists and artist teams for upcoming opportunities in the city of Charlotte or Mecklenburg County with budgets up to $100,000. As part of this process, applications from artists who wish to be included in the pre-qualified artist directory will be pre-screened by ASC staff for compliance with RFQ eligibility requirements. So once you pass that, ASC is going to convene an artist selection panel of local arts professionals and community stakeholders and who have been appointed by ASC and the Public Art Commission to review your application and to recommend you for being included in the regional artist directory. And when we're making these determinations, some of the criteria that we're going to use are, does the artist meet all eligibility requirements? Is there artistic merit and quality, creativity, and strength of past work? Does the application showcase an aptitude for planning and budgeting? Do the skill sets align with project goals or potential to adapt studio work to meet the project goals? Experience or potential to work with community and diverse groups, and ability to communicate effectively and collaborate with ASC stakeholders and design teams. And some important dates. We released the call on April 20th. We're conducting our pre-submittal meeting tonight. There'll be another one at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Applications are due June 1st at 11:59 p.m. And in June and July, we'll be convening our selection panel. And then in July, commissions for specific projects will begin. And please note that if you've been previously awarded, like an acceptance into the regional artist directory in previous iterations, you got to reapply for this year as well. We just want to see your most recent work, recently completed work, as well as any updates to your letter of interest, even if you've been included in the past. And I'm going to turn it over to Randella to talk us through some tips for how to apply.
Thank you, Todd. So these are just some tips that we have put together based on the actual panel meetings and the questions that panels ask and the things that they look at for consideration for you as far as whether you would be accepted into the directory. And so I'll just go through these again. If you have questions, we'll take those at the end. So, of course, first and foremost, start early. Don't wait until the deadline to apply. In one of the slides that Todd showed you, it indicated that you could get technical support from Slide Room, but it is via email. And those email responses typically take up to 48 hours. And so if you wait till the day before, you may not get the response. Todd and I can help you with if you need to meet with us and have discussions about what do you think about my letter of interest or these images that I want to use? But if you're having difficulties actually uploading something, then that's technical. That would be Slide Room. So just keep that in mind. The letter of interest or video of interest, 1-page letter or 2-minute video. If you select to use a video, you do have to upload it under the image section. And just a correction, that was a typo, my apologies. It's up to 8 images that you can include. So if you choose to do a video introduction, then you would do 7 images plus the video. But that gives you, kind of, if you're not really versed at writing for a panel and you feel like you could create a video that would best express your interest and your approach to artwork, then I recommend potentially doing the video instead of the letter. As Todd mentioned, we recommend as an applying as an artist team is not recommended. Tailor your materials to the call and the goals of the ASC Regional Artist Directory. State your interests clearly and explain how this opportunity connects to your artistic interests. Highlight relevant experience, especially public art or community-based work, and link it directly to the project. All of our projects will require some type of community engagement. We're not prescriptive as to how you actually do that, but we're here to help facilitate it, but it is a part of the process. So we'd like to see that you are amenable to engaging with community to get additional inspiration for your artwork. Briefly describe your process from concept to fabrication, address site specificity, and give examples of how your work responds to place. Again, discuss any community engagement that you participated in with your projects and give us concrete examples. What did you do? What was the outcome? What was the response from the community? Explain how audiences experience the work both up close and from a distance. Public art, it's usually, large scale exterior artwork is often used for wayfinding. However, when you get up close to it, there's another opportunity to actually engage with the artwork. So we want to know, like, how does that work for you when you're creating something, or you think you will create something that will be able to engage community up close and far away as well. And of course, close by summarizing why you think you're the best artist to be included in the directory. And just a caution, before you submit, make sure you have included all of the materials that we have requested, because once you submit, you're not able to go back in and add anything to it. And I can't, I've had artists say, well, hey, I forgot to send this. Can you send it to the panel? And so that's not the way it works. So everything needs to be included. Next slide, please. So you have the option of either a CV, resume, or a biography. Of course, we know a resume is going to include all of your art-related work experience, starting with your most recent. It should be tailored, concise, visually clean. Remember, this panel has a lot of applications to go through. So if it's, really wordy and a lot of information, they may or may not read all of that information, just picking and choosing like what really sticks out to them. So you give them what you want them to know about you. Okay. Highlight any relevant experience like public art commissions, grants, again, community engagement. Use action verbs, focusing on quantifiable achievements, size, budget, impact where applicable, and showcasing your technical skills and most definitely your project management abilities. Emphasize skills in design, coordination, fabrication, installation, and budget management, as these are very crucial for public art. Now, a biography, we started a few years ago looking for ways to make this more accessible to others, right? If you are a self-taught artist, you may not have that experience, that someone who, went to college and they've been like steady creating all of these public artworks, or you're transitioning, or you're trying to include public art from mainly being a studio artist. So this is an opportunity to select a project in a biography, one or more, depending on what you would like to do, and write a concise narrative highlighting your unique style, your relevant experience, your artistic philosophy, your themes, your inspirations, and key achievements, while also indicating why you should be accepted into the directory. And so instead of focusing on this long list of all the things that you may not have accomplished, focus on what you have accomplished and how it relates to what we're seeking for this particular opportunity. Portfolio images are extremely important. Consider perspective project scope when selecting images of completed work. For this particular opportunity, as Todd mentioned, you want to show a broad range of your capabilities, but they need to be really good images. They should be high resolution, clearly showcasing the artwork, Renderings, models, and drawings of unrealized artwork is okay, meaning if you have submitted a proposal for a call but you weren't selected, you can still include that proposal just in the annotation and indicate that this was a proposal submission. Avoid submitting sketches or low resolution photos, and don't submit composite images, meaning that you have multiple perspectives of that artwork on one image. It gets confusing for the panel. They're like, it doesn't really showcase your artwork to the best. Example, we have, suppose you had many, many tiles that created something and they were all individually placed, but you wanted us to see all 25 images. And so you decided to put them all on one slide. Don't do it. I know you want to do it, but don't do it. Pick the ones that you feel like are really most engaging and that you would like to talk about the design and, show two or three of those within the portfolio. Just another image of a really clear high resolution image that you can show. This is Pillars of Dream over on Freedom Drive by Mark Fornes. And it's okay to have people in your images as well. Image annotations, you are required to upload that, include the title of the artwork, the date and location, a very brief project description, media and dimensions, budget, and the commissioning agent or client. And this is just a simple example of how that can be accomplished. And make sure you include that for each of the images that you include in the submission. And references, we do ask for 3 references. We do check the references. Just make sure before you use them as a reference that 1, you confirm it's okay to use them as a reference. 2, you want to make sure that their contact information is still correct because we don't have capacity to try and figure out they changed jobs, where are they now, what's their new number, what's their new email. And also make sure that your recollection of how the project went aligns with how they think it went, right? Make sure you're getting good references for this particular opportunity.
All right. Thank you very much, Randella. We wanted to reserve plenty of time for questions. So if you have anything you want to know or ask me and my team about, please, you can just shout it out, raise your digital hand, place it in the chat, and we'll call on you. But if you have any questions about the public art program, the Regional Artist Directory call, or questions about applying, now would be a great time to ask. Yes, Alicia Cutter.
Hi. Again, my name is Elisha Cutter. Thank you so much for this opportunity, this information here. My question is about the portfolio aspect. When it comes to digital art or 2D art, when it comes to the portfolio range, do you want us to render it on walls or certain things like that to kind of give an idea of the project or ideas that we would like to display within the application process?
I think could be a good idea to showcase that in like one render. Like if you haven't accomplished a mural yet, but you want to make that leap to a larger scale, then yeah, I think if you have the means to showcase what that could look like, that could help to showcase or set an expectation of like how your work would move in that direction. I would just ask that any artist that does that, like clearly state that this is a conceptual rendering and not a completed work. But I wouldn't go nuts with it. I wouldn't do, we're not expecting you to do that for every work. I think it's just as valid, if not more valid, to just show the work as a full image and its media and any other supporting information you want to give us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi.
One in the chat too.
Oh,
It's fine. Do references need to be art related only?
No. Say, for example, if you accomplished an enormous project working with community, even if it wasn't art based or design based, but you're incredibly proud of that, there's a level of skill, and that is a skill set that not everyone possesses. So I would say pull to your strengths. If that's working with community, if you do have those references in terms of previous clients that you've worked on in art projects and things like that, I would include some of that, but it doesn't. All three of our references do not need to be primarily art and design.
I had a question.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Darian. Alicia kind of touched on this, but I'm wondering if 2D artists still have like a good opportunity to be accepted. Basically, if you don't have installation or large scale sculptural experience.
Yes, they do. So honestly, the largest influx of artists that we've seen receive commissions through the Regional Artist Directory are artists that received their first public art commission through it. So, and it also comes down to we have several projects, and it's a way of working that we've used throughout several projects where the artists create original works of art, and we have those either scanned or high def photographed and then scaled up and printed on media for public spaces to a size approaching like a mural installation. Um, we've had other artists successfully take their two-dimensional collages or drawings or paintings and work with various contractors to have, for a specific example, we had an artist who printed her collage or had it screen printed on porcelain tile and then
Hmm.
installed like a mosaic on a pavilion wall of a large park. She wasn't a mosaicist herself. She didn't have that skill set, but she knew the vision she wanted and like and she wanted it to be durable, and she was able to find the right contractor to help her achieve that. That wasn't through the regional artist directory, but I'm as an arts administrator, I'm very excited in those kind of opportunities where an artist is able to step outside of what's normal for them and
Hmm.
really work in public space in a meaningful way, like in civic space. So if all your work is 11 by 14 watercolors and they're stunning, we can find a place for you to have a commission through this directory.
Okay. And follow-up question, is this the first year of this regional artist directory?
No, so we've been doing this. It's actually the fourth year. So we've been doing it
Okay.
since 2020, and it exists in 2 year cycles.
Oh,
So at the end of 2 years, we relaunch a new call to artists, and it's open for people to either reapply or to apply to it for the first time.
and forgive me if you said this, but is there a cap to the number of artists you put in the directory?
No cap.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Great questions. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Dina.
Hello, everyone. Todd, I know we had opportunity to submit a CV, resume, or bio. Is it frowned if you do both, or do you prefer one over the other? Randella, kind of explain what it means to put a bio for somebody who's probably not as experienced as opposed to a resume and CV, but is it overkill if you did both?
So I would say my preference would be to see one or the other because they're very different ways of describing yourself, your skill sets, your experience, and who you are as an artist. We really added in the bio as an alternative, just because some people that is the means in which they want to describe who they are, much more than like a bulleted list of accomplishments. And there's always a but with me. So, but if you wanted to do that, the way I would recommend you do it is it to be predominantly a CV or resume, and either at the top of their uh, top or bottom, kind of do like a very brief bio that kind of distinctly summarizes like who you are, what you're excited about, like and the skills you have as an artist and as an individual.
That makes sense. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yep.
Todd, I was wondering, in the past, like the process could you maybe unpack a little bit about when, from if you get selected to the directory, and then what is it like for to be considered for what project, and then what that process is for, hey, you've been notified, or hey, that you didn't make it in that particular project.
Right. So our process, so once you're accepted into the regional artist directory, um, you're on that for 2 years. And as projects come up, so we get a list of our projects based on fiscal year. So we're kind of understanding what's coming up within a year preceding. Um, and Rendell and I and Justin and I, my team, we figure out like what the scope will be, you know, hope to the budgets are given to us, but we may split them up for multiple artists, or we may divide it into different artworks, and then understanding schedules and timelines. Once we know all of that, we'll write a project brief, and we'll begin to look through the regional artist directory for artists that kind of meet the skill sets or have the potential to showcase the skills that we need to accomplish the project that we've kind of set the scope for. If you're one of those, say 12 artists, that's an arbitrary number, but if you're one of those 12 artists that we're recommending, ASC will reach out to you with notification that you're being considered, not that you've received it, but that you're in the running through the regional artist directory for this specific commission, along with the project brief that describes in detail, kind of like, here's what will be asked of the artists who are selected to complete this project. So you have an opportunity to say, you know what, ASC, I'm not interested in that specific project. Please pull me from the whatever. If everything's good and everyone wants to proceed, ASC will convene an artist selection panel, just like we do through our RFQ, request for qualifications, and request for proposals process. And that artist selection panel will look through our recommendations and recommend a commissioned artist and at least one alternate artist. And those recommendations will be brought to the Public Art Commission for formal approval and commissioning, and then you'll receive notification that you've been selected as the commissioned artist.
Thank you.
Did that answer it all? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
from
think.
there, then there's many, many more steps that we ask you to go through, but we will cross that bridge when we get there in terms of if you're selected for commission, giving you an orientation about what that all means and all the necessary steps that we have to go through from idea to reality.
So we've got a few more in the chat. How is the directory distributed or shared?
So we don't actually distribute or share the directory. It's an internal resource for ASC that we use specifically for our projects.
The next one, is it recommended to submit pictures of 2D works as well as 3D sculptures if you are a multimedia artist?
Yes. Public art is one of those rare things within art where I think showing the diversity of materials you can work with, showing the diversity of approaches to art that you are capable of accomplishing is a strength. I know sometimes when applying for, exhibits or participating in other collections, it's good to show a consistency of work, both in style and approach and materials. It kind of shows like a focus, but that versatility of how you work is an asset for public art, because what we're wanting you to do is, of course, bring your own artistic sensibility and vision that is unique to you, but by being able to be flexible creatively, you're able to better adapt yourself to the scope for the individual projects that we'll be hopefully recommending and eventually commissioning you for.
Great. Who reviews the directory submissions, and is there a scoring matrix for submission? I think you talked a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we are in the midst of convening our artist selection panel now, but it will be a 3 to 5 member panel made up of community representatives, art and design professionals, and stakeholders from the city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. So those will be the groups that review the applications and make recommendations and determinations for who is accepted into the directory. And we do want a large amount of, as large amount of artists as we can on the directory, because that gives us more possibilities to work within for commissioned artists. Artists who aren't accepted into the directory, it's either because the artist selection panel maybe feels you're not quite there in terms of making the jump into public art, and my team and I will, notify you of that, and we'll be more than happy to provide any feedback we can on ways to help you for next application period. What was the second part of that question, Rendella? I think there was a
The
second
grading
part.
rubric.
Oh, the
Yeah,
grading
yeah,
rubric.
grading rubric. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. There's not actually like a rubric, like we break it down numerically, but the criteria is somewhere here, I thought.
You were on it.
Maybe
You were
I
on
was
the
on it.
page. Yeah.
So it's the
Uh,
artist meets all eligibility requirements. There's artistic merit and quality, creativity, and strength of past work. They showcase an aptitude for planning and budgeting. Skill sets aligned with project goals or potential to adapt studio work to meet the project goals. That's what I was speaking to in terms of, does your statement of interest or video of interest, does your CV or biography, and do your portfolio images showcase, a really highly likelihood that you could accomplish um, the goals that are set out by the scope that ASC defines for the project. And then experience or potential to work with communities or diverse groups, an ability to communicate effectively and collaborate with ASC stakeholders and design teams. So you can see in all of these criteria, there are more considerations to help guide the panelists in terms of how they make their decisions. And it is a majority vote in terms of their recommendations. But you'll also notice that there's a lot of showing potential, or is there an aptitude, or is there the ability to do this? And we want to welcome that and not just have it so cut and dry of like, does this person have public art experience? They're in. If they don't, they're not. We want, I think, as I was answering the question previously, like, is the work showcasing a certain sensibility, or is there like a certain way of thinking, or a certain style that we think would lend itself well to a project, even if that individual artist has not accomplished a public artwork yet. And I'm comfortable doing that and making those assessments because my team will be there as project managers to help you through the process from point A to, you know, accomplishing it as a realized project. So we're not just going to say, hey, you got this commission, and then leave you high and dry to finish it. Any other questions?
One more. Let's see. It says for the references. Well, mine went away.
Do they have to be in North Carolina, or does it matter which state or country as long as it's a legit person or organization? As long as it's a legit person or organization, it is fine. They do not have to reside in North Carolina or be aligned, even as I said earlier, like with art and design kind of backgrounds. All righty. Let me see here. Well, there's still time if you have questions to ask it here. We are recording this presentation, so we'll have this up on the ASC website for reference, both if you just want to look back on something or for people who weren't able to attend tonight. But if in the middle of the night you wake up and you think, I should have asked this question, it's going to bug me to death, you can reach out to me, Rendella, or Justin. Here's our phone numbers and email addresses, and we'll get back to you as promptly as we can. I'd also encourage you all to check out our website, artsandscience.org. There's specific pages for public art. You'll learn more about the ordinances, the program itself, some accomplished projects. That map is located there. And then really importantly is the call to artists. Even if you apply to the regional artist directory, and you're accepted, that does not disqualify you from applying to other opportunities through ASC. This is just the means of getting on the directory for budgets of $100,000 and less and only open to North Carolina and South Carolina artists. So let's say you get on that directory and then a month later, opportunity, a commission for a $250,000, sculpture at a park, you're still, eligible for applying to that as well. So don't let that limit you. I think this is really a great opportunity for artists, especially those looking to get their start in public art. And then follow us on Facebook and Instagram at ASC Charlotte, and you'll get all the updates on ASC's information, not just public art, but what we're doing in terms of grants, culture blocks, educational programming, all that great stuff. And one last plea, please, please, please remember the deadline, June 1st, 2026, 11:59 p.m. It's 11:59 because at 12, it rolls over into the next day and it is no longer, applications are closed. As we said, if you got a question about the content of the application, it'd be best to reach out to me or Rendell or Justin. If slide room's being weird and something's not working, it's best to reach out to slide room tech help, and that is listed in the call to artists. But on behalf of ASC, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, for spending some time this evening with us, for listening to all the stuff we had to say, and I look forward to seeing all your applications.